The Pac-12 had players unite with a statement about things they want from the Pac-12, or they are saying they might not play football this season. It was across a lot of programs. It has not spread in that way to other conferences yet. A guy like Trevor Lawrence did tweet support of it. My initial reaction to this letter and the idea that they want 50% of the revenue for players. They want minor sports that have been cut to be reinstated. They want racial justice initiatives. They want COVID-19 protections that are monitored by a third party. And basically everyone who's written about this has said it. There's some really completely smart, necessary things in there that absolutely feel like they could be enacted kind of easily. And there are some pie in the sky things there that feel like, well, that would not happen without a lot of work. And there's a long road before you would get that request. But guess what? That's what negotiating is. You don't just give a list of 6 things that could be very easily done. You shoot for the moon. And if you shoot for the moon a little bit, then you almost guarantee yourself the stuff that's easy. And maybe you get one of the things in between and you start a discussion about the shoot for the moon stuff. So I get it. I wonder what the actual on-field impact will be this fall. My instinct at the moment is not something to the effect of there might not be Pac-12 football this year.
I wrote about this a few weeks back after the U.S. Senate hearing about name, image, and likeness. Michael Drake, kind of like his last duties with Ohio State was to go there and participate in that hearing as one of the panelists. No current athletes on that panel. And every time one of these situations comes up, it just reinforces to me that what's really growing is the players, I think, recognizing their voice, but then also just demanding that that voice be more involved in the actual construction of things like the COVID-19 protocols or the name, image, and likeness stuff. They still feel like a lot of things are just being dictated to them. And I don't think that that's reflective of the power structure in college sports anymore. I don't think people look at college sports as like just an extension of high school in a way where you still have administrators and principals and parents or whatever running things. And I think they look at it as almost a minor league, and that it's reasonable to expect that the athletes have more of a say. More than those demands at the end of the day, the 50% revenue and all that stuff, I think it's a demand that they want a seat at the table.
And the way you get a seat at the table is by having a union, by having collective bargaining, right?
So, I mean, it has to come collectively. That's the thing. It can't just be a guy here, a guy there. If you get like what's happening here, where you have like an entire conference and you have, some of the prominent players in that conference promoting those concepts, I think that's when you start to see some momentum.
The idea of wanting 50% of the football revenues for the players, yet also wanting every other Olympic sport to not be cut seems a little, I'm not sure how that would work. The whole point is
the mathematics
that the
of
football revenue pays for all these other sports, and it probably shouldn't. So I get it. It's nice of you, football player, to care about the fencer and not want the fencing team cut. The fencer is stealing your money, football player. So you can either ask for your fair share of the pie based on you putting your brain and body on the line, but I'm not sure you can ask for your fair share of the pie and tell them to still keep fencing. Yes, they can take the waterfalls out of the locker room and they can slash coaching salaries and get them down to reasonable amounts instead of ridiculous amounts. But I don't think that alone, no more waterfalls. And if you cut every football coach's salary in half, that wouldn't be enough to say, here's 50% of the revenue for the players and here's your fencing team. So something's got to give. But again, it's a negotiation. I think all these different things together are the beginnings of things, right? Are the beginnings of the changing of the system. I don't think it's the end of the 2020 college football season. I think it's the beginning of some, but not all, fundamental changes to how we go about college sports. But I don't know that they're certainly not going to solve those things overnight. And I just don't know that I believe at the moment that hundreds of players are going to sit out in an effort to try to make those things be solved.